Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going? How's everybody been? I know it's been a while since I went live. I wish I was live for a different reason, but what is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing on this Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening? How are you all doing? What is going on? Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe, share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. I know, unfortunately, right, as we know, we're not the Yankees are not in the postseason. I know it's been a little while since I went live. You know, I wish I was live for a different reason. I wish I wasn't live to talk about the Yankees season, right, as far as 2025, and then talking about the 2026 season. Right now, obviously the Yankees are watching the postseason from home. They were eliminated last week. It sucked, but what are you gonna do? They got beat by the better team, and you got to hope that improvements are made. Are those improvements going to be made? We'll just have to wait and see. And make sure you guys and gals, go hit that like button, hit that subscribe, share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. And also, please go vote in the poll. All right, let's continue growing this channel. So before I keep going, though, let me say what's up to the chat real quick, because I know I got a few folks in the chat. Jonathan, Katie, what is up? Pixelmon, what is going on? Fortrain, what up? Mazza, what's going on, dude? Good for you to jump on. Susan's in the building. We got Brooklyn in the house. What's going on? CT Cards, long time no see. What's going on? Hopefully you're doing well. What is up? And I'll continue saying what's up to the folks in the chat as they come in. So there's been a lot of Yankee news this week. There's been a lot of buzz going around. I know I'm a couple of days late. I know a lot of folks already had talked about it. They went live. Now today was like the perfect day for me to go live. I just didn't, personally, I just didn't have the time. But anyway, there's been some changes, right, with the New York Yankees coaching staff. All right. Some of it might be a shocker. Some of it may not be a shocker. So the big one was Mike Harkey, who was a longtime bullpen coach for the New York Yankees. He and first baseman coach Travis Chapman and are not returning, as a bullpen coach and as first base coach. So those guys, they have been relieved of their duties. And Mike Harkey kind of hurt a little bit because he's been with the organization a long time. He's an excellent bullpen coach. But the Yankees have decided to move on from him, and they have decided to move on from Travis Chapman, their first base coach. I had a feeling there was going to be some changes to the coaching staff in some way, shape, or form. And as far as Harkey and Chapman go, I mean, I think they did a good job. I wish those guys well, right? I wish those guys well. Hopefully, wherever they may end up, I hope they continue with their success, and hopefully they, a team. There's teams out there that'll hire them. I think they should. If there are any teams that are looking to hire them, and as far as the third base coach Luis Rojas, I mean, as of right now, he is the third base coach. He did have an interview with the Baltimore Orioles for their managerial position, and James Rosen, folks, James Rosen, he had he interviewed with the Minnesota Twins for their vacant position for managers. So, no updates as far as if Rosen and Rojas are they going to be the managers for those teams. I'm not we'll just have to wait and see. James Rosen, he's been the Yankees hitting coach for the last couple of seasons. And we'll talk about the bats and the offense, and we'll talk about the lineup, because again, there's so much that's been said, so much to talk about that we'll get into that stuff. But you might not see James Rosen, you might not see Luis Rojas on the Yankees coaching staff, depending on what teams like the Orioles and the Twins want to do. As like I said, James Rosen had his interview with the Minnesota Twins in terms of for their managerial position, and then Luis Rojas interviewed for the Orioles. We'll have to see what happens. We'll see what happens. Felix, what up, man? What's going on, bro? How you doing? Yeah, Albert Pujols. Yeah, Albert Pujols' name has been mentioned too. He's been mentioned with a couple of teams, but it'll be interesting to see what happens, and who the Yankees are going to hire actually for their bullpen coach and their first base coach. Is it going to be somebody within their organization? Or are they going to look outside of the organization? I mean, I didn't see anything in terms of that. And Jake Hurst, who was in the Yankees organization down there in the minor leagues, he has been promoted as the Yankees assistant hitting coach, and he'll be taking over for, I thought I had his name down here. I think last name is Rosler, Pat Rosler, I believe is what his name is. He might come back to a different role, according to Pat Rosler. That's who it was. He's not going to return to the Yankees coaching staff at the same capacity, but there might be a different role for him. So what that role is, I don't know. And you might see some other coaching changes as well with the New York Yankees. So that's as far as the coaching staff goes. All right, so we might see some different names on this Yankees coaching staff, but Jake Hurst was the big one. He's going to be the assistant hitting coach. So, Jake Hurst, obviously he's familiar with some of the guys that played for him in the minors, Volpe, Wells, Dominguez, like guys like that. Does he help improve this team? Does he help improve the offense? Does he help improve the plate approach? How does he going to contribute? That's my question. With all these changes with the coaches, with the coaching staff, whatever changes are going to go down, what I want to know is, how is this going to improve the team? Like that's what I want to know. Is it going to improve their chances of having a better season? Is it going to improve their chances if when they make it to the postseason? Is it going to improve their chances in the postseason? Is it going to improve their chances of going to the World Series? Is it going to improve their chances of ending this World Series drought that the Yankees are in? That's more first and foremost. That's what I want to know with all these coaching changes that are going to happen. All right, and I know the Yankees offense has been highly criticized, but keep in mind, right? Like there's things I'll say about the Yankees offense, all right, in terms of positive. All right, the Yankees in a lot of the offensive categories, I mean, they did really well. Okay, they were number one in the league in slugging percentage. They were tied for second for on-base percentage, right? Home runs, they were number one, right? We know this team loves to hit their home runs. They were number one in that. They were number one in runs scored. I'm just looking at the categories. Batting average, not the greatest, right? The batting average definitely needs to improve. I know there's folks out there that say that the batting average doesn't matter. No, it absolutely freaking matters. It reflects on the player's performance. So batting average absolutely, 100% matters. Okay. But the Yankees were, like I said, they were at the top of the list in a lot of these offensive categories, but there are things that I would like for them to do better. And I see Frank Rivera is in the building. John the Beagle Dad, what's up, Frank? It's been a long time, man. He says if they have the same game plan, doesn't matter who the coaches are, otherwise they're a cosmetic change. This is what I'm saying. So, since we're talking about the offense, right? Since we're talking about the bats, the Yankees, like I said, they led in a lot of the categories offensively, and where they need improvement is, they need to stop with the home run or nothing mentality. What's up, Evan? Good to see you. But they need to stop with the home run mentality. Yes, they hit a lot of home runs. It's great, but these guys have to do more in terms of hitting for contact, right? We didn't see a lot of that. How many times have we seen the Yankees during the season, man? With the bases loaded, let's say, nobody out, and they only score one run, and they struggle to get any hits off and score runs without having to rely so much on the home run ball. There's a lot of power. I mean, there's a lot of power on this team. Yeah, these guys could hit the ball out of the park, absolutely. But that shouldn't be the only thing, right? You shouldn't just rely on the home run ball. The Yankees did what, I'm not saying they were completely horrendous when it came to getting hits and getting on base. That wasn't the issue, but there was a lot of moments. There was a lot of moments where clutch hitting was non-existent, and their approach to the plate was there was no adjustments, right? There was no adjustments. It seemed like almost everybody in the lineup just had the same approach of just hit the ball hard, and hopefully it turns into something positive. And that was one of the things that I kept saying on my live streams. I'm sure if you all follow me, right? That's one of the things that a lot of people like to talk about is the hard hit balls, right? Hard hit balls. Like folks will they're talking about hard hit balls, but if those hard hit balls don't result into something positive, I could care less about how hard the ball was hit. That part does not matter to me, man. You can hit the ball as hard as you want, but if it doesn't result into something positive, I do not care. So, they gotta, this team offensively, you gotta hit for contact. And this is something that they have to do with their lineup next season. Who knows what their lineup is going to look like next season? Who knows what their offseason plans are going to be? I know, Aaron Boone, Brian Cashman, they had their press conference, and I know a lot of folks were not happy with their press conference. I wasn't really expecting these guys to say a whole lot, except for talk about how the 2025 season went down. I wasn't expecting them to talk about their off-season plans and what they plan on targeting or who they plan on targeting. Obviously, the most obvious name is Cody Bellinger, right? Cody Bellinger is the name that comes up. He's probably gonna be the number one priority for the Yankees as far as who they're gonna sign. But that's one guy I would like to see back. Definitely is Cody Bellinger. He was a good addition to the team. He was definitely helped with the team's performance. He was perfect bat. I mean, he hit for home runs. He was able to get good quality hits. I like Bellinger. I think the Yankees need to bring him back in some way, shape, or form. What that contract, what that is going to look like, who knows? And we all know who his agent is, and his agent's going to try and get the most that he possibly can. So, I personally, I wouldn't go, like, for me, I would offer Cody Bellinger probably 5 years, 6, probably. I wouldn't go above 6. I mean, he's 30 years old. I don't know that I would offer him more than 6 years personally, but who knows what the number is going to be. I'm sure obviously those numbers are going to be discussed, and I'm sure they would like to reunite with Cody Bellinger. Bellinger wanted to come to the Yankees. He wanted to play for the Yankees. He made that known, and we know that he would love to come back. Cody's going to turn into DJ. What up, Jonathan? Or not, John. Rodney. What up, Rodney? Good to see you, bro. Hopefully you're okay, Rodney. Let me know, man. Let me know. And just looking at some of the comments, and I know a couple of folks brought up Trent Grisham. Listen, initially I said that Trent Grisham would get the QO, which, by the way, the QO is $22 million, right? 22.05 if we want to be exact. So that's the qualifying offer. That is the if any team gives their offers their free agents a qualifying offer, that's what it is. It's 22.05. I feel you, Rodney. I feel you. Initially, I said that the Yankees, I think they would offer it to Grisham, but now I'm kind of taking a step back. I don't think the Yankees are going to offer him that QO, because the thing is, I think he might end up taking it. And folks are saying that he could accept the deal and the Yankees could trade him, but I don't think it's going to be that easy trading him and trying to get something back for Grisham. I like Trent Grisham, right? I like what he did this season. He had a quite a career year. Defensively, great with the glove. I mean, he's saved the Yankees quite a bit defensively. Personally, I don't see him coming back, right? Who knows when he's gonna, who knows what team is going to sign him? Who knows what the Yankees are going to do with the outfield? Now, one thing is for sure, Jason Dominguez was his name was mentioned right there with the press conference with Boone and Cashman. It sounds like he's coming back. It sounds like he's or not coming back, but sounds like he's going to get some regular playing time. Sounds like that's gonna be the case for for Jason Dominguez. So we'll see if that is actually true. But the way Boone and Cashman talked in the press conference, it sounds like he's gonna get regular playing time. And the plan for him is to play winter ball, which I think would be an excellent idea. For him to play some winter ball. Get better at playing left field, because that's going to be the game plan. If Dominguez is going to be on this team, that's going to be the game plan, is for him to play left field. For some reason, they don't like him in center field, but they do. But they rather him play in left field. And like I said, he's going to play winter ball, and I hope. I hope he makes his improvements in left field. Hopefully, he can get some at bats from the right side of the plate, because he does need a lot of reps there from the right side. But Dominguez was highly touted in the Yankees organization. Again, according to Boone and Cashman, it sounds like he's gonna get regular playing time. But then again, they said that they'll assess and see. So I guess kind of reading in between the lines. They're gonna see, if what their roster is gonna look like, and what if there is, if plans could change. In other words, plans could change. So, as of right now, though, according to Boone and Cashman, again, I'm just going off of what they're saying. He's gonna get regular playing time, but again, I'll see it when I believe it. That's the way I see it. Rodney's saying bye Martian. They both lying for sure. I don't. Again, a lot of folks don't buy into what Cashman and Boone are saying, and I totally get it. Dominguez could be traded. Yeah, I mean, Dominguez, could he be traded? His name has been mentioned a lot during the season, as far as trades go. that he could be a guy that the Yankees trade, and it's possible, especially, another guy, right, that was brought up during the meeting with Spencer Jones. And, Cashman did say that he has earned himself a spot earned himself an opportunity to win a spot on the Yankees roster. He could be, Spencer Jones could very well be your starting center fielder next year. It depends on how, again, who the Yankees add to their team, who they, is Cody Bellinger going to come back? If Bellinger comes back, what does that mean for Dominguez and Grisham? There's so much, I don't know. There's so many questions. There's so many questions in this offseason that this is probably one of the few off seasons that where I say to myself, I truly don't know what the Yankees are going to do this season, right? Or in the off season, who they're going to go after, who they're going to target, how much money they're going to spend, right? I mean, Cashman did mention something about staying within the budget. We know that Hal Steinbrenner is, he's always trying to cut payroll. He's trying to stay under that threshold, in which I understand. And, speaking to that too, Cashman was asked how, as far as their approach this offseason, how did they, is their approach going to be different because of, the expiring CBA come next year on December 1st, 2026. Cashman, ruled it out, saying, no, it's not going to affect how they approach the offseason. It's going to be business as usual. Well, we'll see what business as usual means. Is it, are we getting the same team back? Are we going to see some newer additions? Are we going to, is it going to be the same, I don't want to say rinse and repeat, but are we going to see the same thing that we saw this season? I don't know but improvements need to be made and changes need to be made, especially, with some of their approaches, their preparation. I feel like that's another big thing for me is the Yankees preparation and most of these games. I feel like their approach to a lot of these games are always the same. They don't make their adjustments in a lot of these games from what I've seen, right? And I've called a lot of these games. I've watched a lot of these games. I know you all have as well. But, we've seen teams and that they go up against, especially pitchers that we've never even heard of, or if the Yankees never faced, and they do work against the Yankees bats. I know I talked about how offensively they were great. However, there was also flaws with this team offensively as well, and that needs to change. So hitting for contact, that needs to be a thing, right? More small ball, that needs to be a thing. Better decisions in terms of in terms of pinch hitting. If there's an opportunity to put a guy in for in pinch hit situations, that needs to happen, right? Whoever is on this team, utilize them. Utilize their talents, utilize what you got, right? I know, to start off the 2025 season, I know the Yankees bench wasn't that great. It did improve after the deadline, but again, it was used to some capacity. But that's something I want to see more of is just more of the small ball approach. Hitting for contact. Whether it's bunts, base hits, like stuff like that, man. Basics and fundamentals, like that's what I want to see. A little bit more of that. It's just this team does focus on a lot of power, and again, I'm great, but there's been also a lot of times where the small things, they do matter, and when you don't execute on those small things, you're bound to lose that game. And we've seen it one too many times this season. So I don't, it's something that they have to improve on. And I know a couple of other folks are in the chat. We got Nathaniel and Jake. What's up, guys? What's going on? Just to get to a few more of the comments, Robert says, I hope they would keep Grisham, and he should come back. But you're right, and if he does, Jason Dominguez get his chance now. This might be the opportunity for him, right? Grisham, the Yankees are not going to bring him back. I even thought that throughout the season, in the beginning of the season, I'm like, I think he's just going to play out his final year on his contract. And another team will probably end up signing him where, I don't know. And let's get to a few more of the comments. Nathaniel saying that Spencer Jones needs to be traded. Yeah, I mean, some folks feel like he needs to be traded. Some folks think Dominguez needs to be traded. Listen, if you're not gonna utilize these guys, if these guys are not gonna play, don't waste their young years. If you're able to trade them and you're able to get something of value back, please do that. You know what I mean? Like, don't hold on to these guys. We know the Yankees have made that mistake of holding on to guys for too long, and it's just their value, truly goes down. So, I don't know, man. Who knows if either one of these guys is going to be traded, or one of them is going to be traded, or both of them are going to be traded. Not both of them. All right. I think that's a stretch, but I could see one of those guys certainly being traded. And Jake, what's up, Jake? He says, I'm not expecting much from them. Hal apparently wants to lower the payroll, so I'm not expecting many moves. I mean, in terms of signings, probably not. Again, Bellinger is going to be the one that the big one that they're going to try and bring back. Do they look into Kyle Tucker? I know a lot of Yankees fans want Kyle Tucker. Yankees will check in; they'll do their due diligence. But personally, I'd be shocked if the Yankees were to sign Kyle Tucker. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to go the cheap route, or the less expensive route, and sign Bellinger back. Which, again, I don't mind having Bellinger back. Bellinger's he's got a lot of versatility, right? He is very versatile. Guy could play anywhere in the outfield. He could play first base. So, as we know, the Yankees organization, they do love versatility. So, that's why I think they're going to go after Bellinger instead of a guy like Kyle Tucker. What's up, Celia? She says, I think it's interesting that the Mariners are also a home run hitting team, but they seem to have better approach. Well, that's what I'm saying, that the Yankees have to have a better approach, and without having to rely on the home run ball. Yeah, the Mariners they could hit home runs, but they could also hit for contact too. Ronnie says, over under how many dumb moves we're going to do this? Yeah, that's a good question. Bo Bichette and Todd Skubal is who I want. Yeah, I mean, and we'll get into these guys, right? I know Skubal's name's been talked about here in the last 24 hours. Bo Bichette, I know that's a name that's been mentioned by a lot of fans. So, how did the Yankees approach some of these positions, right? Just getting some more of the comments here. Celia says, I mean, if the only move that they do is bring Bellinger back, that's not a chance. Well, it's going to take more than Bellinger to make this team a championship caliber team. No, I don't. I definitely don't want Pete Alonso. I'm not on the Pete Alonso train. Sorry. Oh, you're going to a watch party? Okay, nice, Rodney. I'm sure Mariners fans are going nuts over there. You would start Bo on days Frida's pitching, that's for sure. Yeah, the defense. So Yankees defense, they still had a lot of errors, particularly with the infield. The infield was not the greatest. There was some improvements, but it wasn't anything. But it wasn't anything significant. But there were some improvements. That's something, again, they have to improve on. Now, folks are talking about Bo Bichette. Now let's talk about Anthony Volpe, right? Everybody's favorite Yankee, right? Obviously, I'm being sarcastic, but Volpe. This was his third season as a New York Yankee, and honestly, there's nothing to be desired for Anthony Volpe. I'm not here to bash Anthony Volpe. All right. I'm not going to bash the guy, but his performance, yeah, it's just he didn't have a good season. Now, he did have that tear in his shoulder. The Yankees continued playing him. I don't know why. but he is going to get that his labrum left shoulder repaired. That labrum, he's going to get that repaired. But it's going to be 4 months before he can hit, and it's going to be 6 months until he could dive on the shoulder. So that does leave Jose Caballero to start the season at shortstop, which I'm not opposed at all. I think Caballero can, he was never really like much of an everyday player, but he does bring a lot to the table. I mean, the guy, he is pesky, right? He's pesky at the plate. He's pesky on the base paths. I mean, he did have 49 stolen bases last year. I think he gives you a little bit more promise, no doubt. I think he gives you a little bit more promise than Volpe does. But who else, though? I mean, are the Yankees gonna are they gonna sign anybody in the offseason for shortstop? Or is Bo Bichette a guy that they're gonna be looking at? Or are they gonna trade for someone, right? Because Volpe's not gonna be able to. Again, he's not gonna be starting the season. But as far as him being the primary shortstop, I mean, Cashman and Boone said, I believe it was Boone. Boone did say that he was in the mix, which, to me, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to Volpe, honestly, when he heals up and he's ready to go, he's ready to play, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up, getting most of the playing time over Caballero. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Because Cashman and Boone still seem to have hope on Anthony Volpe. Personally, I don't know, man. I think the Volpe experiment is over. I think it needs to be done, man. Even if his left shoulder wasn't torn, or even if his labrum wasn't torn, I don't know how much better he would have been without the injury. I'm just being honest. Like, Volpe, for me, throughout his career, right, from his rookie season till now, it was always a let's wait and see moment. It was always let's wait and see. But I do think that the Yankees need to think, beyond Anthony Volpe. I think he's still going to be on the team. I mean, clearly, Boone and Cashman didn't say anything about moving on from him. I mean, they're not going to make those decisions right now. They're probably going to, after this baseball season is officially over, once the World Series is over, they're probably going to, they're going to sit down as an organization and sit down and talk about what the game plan is going to be. So, according to Cashman, those discussions haven't happened yet, but they're going to happen. Frank is saying, what do you think of Cashman supposedly calling Jeter? I'm going to talk about that later, but yeah, hang on to your seats, because that one, there was a lot of controversy with that, man. I got things that I want to say. Boone, yeah, see, it didn't affect him. That's where I disagree. It totally affected him. But even if he didn't have that injury, I just don't think his performance would have been that much better. I'm just being honest. Oh, shout out to my man, the Ace Avenue, who's been a member for 12 months. What's up, bro? How you doing, bro? Shia. What's going on, Ace? How you feeling? How you doing? I'm sure you have a lot to say in terms of Cashman, Boone, the Yankees in general. Ronnie calling people out. Let's go. But yeah, look, in terms of Anthony Volpe, though, I think the Yankees need to figure something else out in terms of shortstop. So, Caballero is going to be he's probably going to get the playing time, unless the Yankees go out and do something unthinkable. But we'll see what happens. What up, Desiree? Good to see you. Sean Browning's in the building. What's going on? If I didn't say hi to you guys, I'm sorry. All right, the chat's flying by, and I'm just talking away. So Volpe's going to be out for he's going to be out for a little while. And speaking of speaking of players and injured and surgeries and whatnot, sounds like Judge doesn't need surgery, but I am a little worried about that. Thank God he doesn't need surgery, but he's gonna rest and rehab his elbow. Hopefully, bad news, right? Knocking on wood. There's nothing. We don't get some sort of news of like Judge is going to need surgery in the middle of the season. I hope that is not the case, man. I hope that's not the case. But I'm glad that he doesn't need surgery. I'm glad that Carlos Rodon doesn't need surgery, or not Carlos Rodon, Giancarlo Stanton. Carlos Rodon actually got a bone spur removed, so he's not going to start the season. He's going to miss. He's going to miss a couple of weeks. Same thing with Garrett Cole. So. Gotta wonder what the Yankees are gonna do with their rotation. I see Cecilia's in the chat. What's up, Cecilia? What's up? Family this afternoon. I appreciate you stopping in. Yeah, I'm gonna try and do some World Series play-by-plays for sure. We know that the Dodgers are in it. They swept the Brewers, so congratulations to them. But I mean, should we be surprised? Yeah, no, not really, not at all. Celia is bringing up Volpe's numbers. Yeah, batted 209. Rookie season, second year batted 243, 212. Yeah, I mean, those numbers just aren't good enough. They're not good enough. Yeah, Cole could return. Yeah, probably. I mean, May is probably going to be the return for Garrett Cole. Like I said, Carlos Rodon, they're saying that he's going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. It's going to be 8 weeks of no throw, so he's not going to be able to throw a baseball for 8 weeks. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he was to come back at May or in the month of May, same as Cole. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. But at that point, the Yankees rotation is going to be Max Fried. And Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, Luis Hill, and who's that number 5, right? Who's going to be that number 5? Are they, in my opinion, I think they should look into acquiring a starter. So obviously Skubal's name's been mentioned a lot. But I don't think the Yankees are going to try and trade for Skubal. I don't think they want to go through that nightmare again. Of trading for a player who was a 1 year rental and could sign somewhere else. And Skubal is a Scott Boras client, so definitely keep that in mind. And then Freddie Peralta from the Brewers, his name has been mentioned. The Brewers did say that he could be a guy that is traded to some team, whoever that may be. Maybe the Yankees can look into him. He would be cheap. Comes with a club option for 2026. I think he'd be owed $8 million, but what would that cost? And he'd be another rental. So, I mean, those are a couple of options. Yarbrough is another one, right? Right, CT cards. Yarbrough, definitely another guy. I want the Yankees to bring him back for sure. If they can reach a reasonable deal, I like to see Yarbrough back. And he could temporarily start the season off in the rotation before moving him back to the bullpen. I think that I wouldn't mind that move whatsoever. With Volpe, yeah. But yeah, Skubal wants that Ohtani money. Yeah, he's trying to get paid, man. He's trying to get paid. I think I don't know about that Ohtani money, but some team is gonna pay him. Some team's going to pay him. I don't know what team that's going to be, but some team is going to pay him. He's got Scott Boras, man. So, Skubal, I don't think Boras is going to have to really sell much. I mean, Skubal is selling himself. That's what I'm that's what I think. What happened to Rodon? Rodon had a bone spur removed from his arm, so therefore, yeah, he had surgery, so he's gonna miss the first couple of weeks. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit longer, in all honesty. But hopefully it is only a couple more weeks at the plate for sure. But yeah, so listen, is it the food section yet? No, not yet, but I'll ask that question at the end. Now, in terms of the press conference, right? I know I talked about some of the things that Cashman and Boone said during the press conference. I know their press conference didn't sound like there was really much hope going into 2026, but again, we don't really know what the Yankees game plan is going to be. They did say some things that folks were trying to read in between the lines, but in all honesty, what I want to know again is what kind of improvements and additions they're going to make to this team. How is this team going to be better in 2026? Are they going to have are these guys going to continue with the same philosophy as far as analytics goes? Are they going to have the same approach at the plate, same approach with the pitching? If it's gonna be the same as 2025, I don't know if we're gonna see a different result for 2026. So, changes have to happen. Changes absolutely have to happen. I mean, you could change up the coaches, you could trade for a player, you could sign a player, but how they approach each game, how they approach every game, it has to be different. You can't, these guys, I feel like, every game that they played, the approach, especially with the bats, with the offense was the same. So, their approach to the season needs to be a lot different. Their approach to the games needs to be a lot different. Now, there was a lot of questions about what Derek Jeter and A-Rod had to say, right? There was definitely some things that Derek Jeter said, some things that Alex Rodriguez said. Brian Cashman certainly reacted to it. Clearly he wasn't happy about what those guys had to say, particularly with what Jeter had to say. And Celia says, I heard that their hitting coach was getting interviewed for. Well, yeah, he got interviewed by the Minnesota Twins a few days ago. What happens? I don't know. They haven't made a decision. Obviously, they're still doing they're searching. But yeah, James Rowson, though, yeah, he might get it. He might not. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, in terms of what A-Rod said, he said that this was one of the worst constructed teams that he's ever seen. At least that's what he said when talking about the New York Yankees. I'm gonna somewhat, right, like I always respect what A-Rod says. Alex Rodriguez understands the game. He's played the game. He knows the game, right? I'm never gonna doubt. I don't doubt a lot of the things that he says. Now, worst constructed team, yeah, I don't know about that, right? I'm not going to sit here and say, well, they won 94 games. They did win 94 games. They matched their total from 2024, and that's without Soto. That's without, Garrett Cole, without Giancarlo Stanton for a good period of time. Luis Hill, Clark Schmidt, they had quite a few guys missing. Worst constructed team, you could go. I'm going to disagree with that. Now, what I will say is that, yeah, they had too many lefties in the lineup. I don't think that really did them any favors, right? So there wasn't enough righty bats, to start off the season. They had a lot of lefty bats. I mean, and Boone had his options, but I don't know that he played his options really well. But once again, there were a lot of lefties in the lineup. This team still, if this was the worst constructed lineup, I don't know that this team would have made the postseason, right? I'm not saying let's go out there and celebrate because they made it to the postseason, but if this was the worst constructed team, this team should have never made it to the postseason. This team should have been a fourth place team. But if you look back at 2 years ago, that was a pretty bad constructed team. I think we could go back in a lot of years where the Yankees had some very bad teams, teams that, you look at the lineup and you're just wondering, what is this lineup? Like, this lineup is ridiculous. This lineup is atrocious. Yankees had they had talent in that lineup. They had talent in that lineup, but again, there was just way too many lefties, and they were hitting too much for power, right? Like, kind of like what we talked about, and not enough for contact. Celia says that I kind of agree with A-Rod. The roster construction was definitely poor this year. Too many lefties. And that's what I'm getting at is there was a lot of lefties, not enough contact hitters, a lot of strikeouts, which, was ridiculous with the strikeouts. So they had a lot of good players, though, right? The names that they have on that team were good. But, in terms of, if that's what A-Rod was talking about in terms of, too many lefties in the lineup and, having more versatility. Yeah, I would agree with that. I want to say it's the worst team, though. Definitely not the worst team. Definitely not the worst team. But the lineup could have been a lot better, right? They could have used more righty bats in the lineup. So the lineup, they do need to have a little bit more balance in their lineup. Absolutely. And I hope that they do that they do have that going into 2026, because there are way too many lefties in the lineup up until the trade deadline when they made their additions. But the construction of the lineup, that was the thing. It was just too many lefties, not enough contact hitters. So that's something that definitely needs to improve. And Robert says I got arrested for child abuse because you let your 5-year-old watch the Yankees in 23. Eesh. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, that 23 was a bad lineup. And if we go back to the previous years, Yankees had some pretty atrocious lineups. 2013 to 2016, those were some bad lineups. I couldn't watch them play in those years. It was unbearable. It wasn't even worth watching because there was just nothing to be excited about. But yeah, I mean, those were worse teams, no doubt. Sean Browning saying we need more contact bats and stop yo-yoing Dominguez. Well, like I said, the contact bats, that needs to be a thing. This team hitting for contact, that absolutely needs to be a thing. Yes, they're great with the power. Yeah, offensively, they've done some great things in 2025. I like what they have done, but hitting for contact, playing more of that small ball, 100% needs to happen. 100% needs to happen. And according to Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman, Dominguez is going to get regular playing time. That's what they said. But then again, depending on what moves they make, that could very well change. So, Dominguez doesn't get traded. I'd like to see him batting leadoff this year, and it would be nice if they can get a right-handed catcher. Yeah, because they have 3 catchers right now on their roster, and all 3 of those guys are lefty bats. I mean, it'd be great for them to get a right-handed catcher. That would be great. Does that happen though? I don't know. At this point, I don't know. But one thing's for sure: the Yankees need to get some contact bats. And Dominguez leading off. I know that's been a popular take from some of the fans. He's an option. The Yankees right now, I mean, to me, they don't have a real leadoff guy on their team. They don't have a real lead. They don't have a guy that can lead off. There's no. I mean, it was Trent Grisham leading off this season for the majority of the season, but to me, he wasn't an ideal leadoff guy. But none of those guys were. But perhaps the Yankees they truly need to look into that this offseason is getting a guy that can lead off and can hit for contact. Is that within the organization, or do they within their roster, or do they look elsewhere? But they do need a leadoff guy for sure, and that could also hit on contact and get on base, because that was the other problem. Was these guys were one pitch swings, swinging at the first pitch, just striking out constantly, quick outs. There was no patience at the plate, which those things need to happen. 100% needs to happen. So that they need to implement that into their philosophy. Yeah, Goldschmidt. Yeah, he wasn't a leadoff guy either. I mean, he led off only when there was a lefty on the mound. But yeah, realistically, he's not a leadoff guy either. But he's probably not going to come back anyway. To two Japanese players, yeah, Murakami, and I believe the other guy's name is Okamoto, I believe. Yeah, Murakami. He did say, yeah, there was a post that said that Murakami said he prefers to play for the West Coast, but he'd be interested in the Yankees. I'm sure the Yankees will probably do their due diligence and check in, but I wouldn't mind the Yankees looking into Okamoto. Hopefully I'm saying his name right, but he's a third baseman. He's a right-handed bat. The Yankees can use a right-handed bat for third base. Besides, whoever they got, whether or not they bring back Rosario, or what happens with Oswaldo Cabrera, that's another name. Well, Okamoto though, I wouldn't mind him being signed by the Yankees. He's again right-handed bat, and he could play for Ryan McMahon in some games where McMahon doesn't have to face lefties all the time. So Okamoto could be another guy that the Yankees look into. He's going to be posted. So could that be an option for the Yankees? Would Okamoto would he be interested in playing for the Yankees, or is he like Murakami, where he prefers the West Coast? Didn't Boone mention anything about Rice playing first next year? I thought I heard him saying in the press conference, but he's probably primed to play first base. I think that's probably the game plan. All right. If he is going to play first base, he definitely needs a lot of reps. You better be practicing a lot of ground balls. I mean, Ben Rice is I'm not going to call him a bad first baseman. He's not a bad first baseman. Is he the best first baseman? No, but he's not the worst. But he could play the position. No, I think. But he does need to he does need to make his improvements if he is going to be your starting first baseman, which I think that's the game plan. Personally, I would keep him as a catcher. He'd be my primary catcher for the Yankees over Austin Wells. But that would be that's just my opinion on who they get for first base. Would they address that during free agency, or would they call up a guy like TJ Rumfield? But it sounds like, as of right now, the Yankees they're probably going to stick with Ben Rice at first base. That's probably going to be the game plan. We got a few other folks. We got Jacob Frederick, Paranormal. What's up, Paranormal? Long time no see. TC, what up, man? What's going on, TC? Yassine's in the building. What's up, Yassine? Yassine's bringing up Cashman said that Boone makes the lineup and bullpen decisions on WFAN. Yeah, so that was a big one, right? Cashman was asked about whether or not he dictates, the decision making during the game for the as far as bullpen decisions, as far as the lineup, or does Boone make those decisions? Because Derek Jeter, right? Derek Jeter did say, and this is from Derek Jeter's mouth, right? He says he doesn't have inside knowledge, right? He doesn't have the sources, but he thinks that Boone doesn't make the decisions. And Cashman, of course, came back and said that that's not totally true. Well, whether or not we believe him or not believe him, I take it for what you want. I mean, take it as you will. There's always been a lot of these talks of whether or not Boone actually makes the lineup himself and he makes all the decisions himself, or does he have to consult with the front office about how what the lineup should be, or what pitcher from the bullpen comes in, who needs to start, who needs to sit. Cashman is saying that Cashman is definitely saying that Boone strictly makes those decisions, that he does not get involved in such things. Now, Jeter said otherwise, although Jeter also said that he has no inside knowledge. Now, listen, for me, right, and for a lot of us, right, for a lot of us fans, if we don't have I don't have the inside source, right? I'm not connected with the New York Yankees. I have no connection with the front office. I have zero connection with the organization. The only thing I can really do is speculate, right? If Cashman is saying that Boone is making the decisions, I'll take his word for it. Is that statement true? I don't know. Jeter doesn't seem to think that it's true. All right, Derek Jeter doesn't seem to think that it's true. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to say. I want to think that Boone is the one making the decisions. Whether or not they're the right decisions, I have no idea. Right? I mean, sometimes I don't always agree with the decisions that Boone makes. Sometimes, sometimes I do question the decisions that Boone makes. Sometimes he makes good ones. Sometimes he makes some bad ones, no doubt. But what Jeter said, and what he did, what he said though, and even though he said that he doesn't have inside knowledge, I mean, for me, it's like, if you don't have inside knowledge, then how do you know, right? How do you know? And I'm not taking again, just like A-Rod, I'm not taking anything away from Jeter. I listen to what Jeter says, right? Just like I listen to what A-Rod says. But I'm also still gonna ask questions. I'm still gonna question certain things. But is Boone the one making decisions? I'll take Cashman's word for it. But then again, I don't know if it's true. None of us really know. Let's be honest. None of us really know. And once again, if Jeter says he doesn't have any idea, that he doesn't have inside knowledge, none of us do. Right? None of us do. Celia, then she's like, then it looks like they basically have their infield set. So the only positions. Yeah. Well, they can't run it back with the same approach, That's for freaking sure. TC says nobody's competing with the Dodgers. They have limitless pockets and they get all that right players. Yeah, well, they're also owned by Guggenheim, who, Guggenheim is $345 billion. That's what they're worth. And no ownership even comes close to that. That's why the Dodgers are able to do the things that they do, or that they're able to do. They're able to get away with it. What are my thoughts on Cashman saying that the Yankees had a successful season? I'll say it like this. They did not have a successful postseason. That postseason was terrible. Regular season, they had a good regular season, even through that bad stretch of baseball, right? Before, and I've said this many times, before the season even started, there was a lot of question marks in terms of if this team was going to make the postseason, because there were a lot of fans out there who said that that this team wouldn't make it to the playoffs. They were going to be a fourth place team, but they proved otherwise. But once they got into the postseason, yeah, their performance in the postseason was piss poor. And they got they got beat by the better team, which was in the Blue Jays, and teams like the Blue Jays, they owned the Yankees this season. Unfortunately, the Yankees just didn't show up. They got owned, So, I don't know if that getting eliminated in the division series is gonna light a fire under them, right? Is it gonna motivate? Cashman and Hal to go out there and make a statement, make something happen, right? Hal Steinbrenner, even though he didn't make an appearance, I would like for Hal Steinbrenner to make an appearance. He didn't, he said that he's frustrated. That, again, this is according to Cashman, that he's frustrated. Well, hey, man, if you're frustrated, show us that you're frustrated. Go out there, do something about it. Make this team better in 2026. So improve their chances of making it to the World Series, or improve their chances of winning a championship. If you're frustrated, man, let's see it. Because you could talk all day, you could talk all night, say how frustrated you are, but there needs to be an action plan. 100% there needs to be an action plan. So, if Hal is upset about it, then hey, man, you got to step up, right? Jeter's great, but do not go with Jeter's game predictions. In games 3 and 4, he picked the Mariners and they lost. Last night, Jeter picks the Blue Jays, and yeah, well, again, I'll listen to a lot of what Jeter says because he understands the game. He knows the game. But I don't always agree. I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna listen to him, but I'm not gonna always agree. Folks are always gonna have their take. The Yankees got pitching from Fried and Rodon. They would have won. They didn't show up. It sickens me to see how the Dodgers are shutting everyone down. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. The Yankees didn't show up, man. The Yankees didn't show up. So, perhaps what guys like A-Rod and Jeter said, maybe, I was just thinking about this too, right? Maybe they said these things to try to light a fire under the Yankees front office, to try to light a fire under Hal Steinbrenner, to try and light a fire under Brian Cashman, to go out there and make moves, improve this team, make something happen, prove us wrong. Are they going to do that? I don't know. I'm not 100% certain. I don't know what the Yankees game plan is for the offseason. Now, one thing that I think they should do or need to do is improve the bullpen. That's probably to me, that's probably the number one priority is improving that bullpen, because the bullpen was a mixed bag. But if I was a GM or an owner of a team, and I got guys like A-Rod and Jeter saying what they said, man, that'll definitely light a fire under me, for sure. That would motivate me. It's just like, oh man, it's like I'm getting dissed over here, and we're not my team, or the team that I'm representing, is not playing their best, and we need to be better. What's up, Joseph? Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. Yeah, I've been meaning to go live to talk about this Boone and Cashman talking to the media and things that have been said about the Yankees. I just today was like the perfect day for me to go live. I know I'm a couple of days late, but there was things that I wanted to get off my chest and talk about, and just chat with all of you too, because I'll love having all you guys and gals. So yeah, I've been live for over an hour, so thank you all for hanging out. Greatly appreciate it. Again, make sure you guys and gals hit the like button. Let's get those likes up. Hit that sub button if you're new. Let's continue growing this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Keep sharing this channel out. Number one priority, stump Volpe and Wells. Yeah. Well, like I said, Volpe's not going nowhere, man. He ain't going nowhere unless the team says otherwise. He ain't going nowhere. Same with Austin Wells. So, do I think the Tigers will trade Schoolboy this offseason? For the right deal, they will. 1-year contract. Cy Young winner, right? Or a Cy Young candidate. Oh yeah, if they, for the right deal, they'll trade him as long as the deal is sweet, and it's got to be a sweet deal, and it's gonna cost any team really. Yeah, CC says I'm done listening to Cash from Boone. Hal, I'll tell you what, man. You don't think Volpe's here long term? I mean, I hope that's not the case. Again, I'm done with the Anthony Volpe experiment personally. I think the Yankees need to have a different approach. Need to go a different direction at shortstop. What that direction is, I don't know. Realistically, I would say, hey, look into Bo Bichette, see what it's going to take, because I do like Bo. I think Bo is solid, but Volpe, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised once he heals up. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts getting the majority of the playing time. I would look into pitching for the Guardians personally. Yeah, Frederick. Yeah, let's just hope they make some significant changes this offseason, players, and yeah. But we could only hope. We could only hope. Now, with Cashman, I don't know if you guys know this, but Brian Cashman, his contract is up after the 2026 season. It's going to be interesting to see if if he wants to continue become the GM, or if he's going to just continue his role with the Yankees at a different capacity, right? The Yankees after 2026, you might be looking at a new GM. You might be looking at a new general manager. I don't know if that's somebody within the organization or do they look outside the organization. But Cashman may not be, after 2026, he may not be your GM. He may not be the Yankees GM. So his contract is going to be up, and Boone's contract is up after 2027. And once again, I was thinking about this. I was wondering, like, okay, depending on how 2026 plays out, if Cashman is not back, is Boone going to be gone too? Right? Again, depending on how the season plays out. It could be a thing. I don't know though. I mean, Cashman's been with the Yankees organization for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if they if they gave him a new contract to continue being the GM. But after 2026, his contract is up. Does he continue being GM, or does he just continue in a different role, in a different capacity, and give up his GM duties? Cashman will never do that. What the fans are screaming for, he's a stubborn smug jackass who loves to talk down to everyone. Yeah, Cashman is never going anywhere unless Hal gets kicked out. Yeah, well, Hal Steinbrenner's not going nowhere. I know a lot of fans want him to sell the team, but he ain't going nowhere, man. He's here to stay. He's here to stay, but it's like I said with Hal, man. If you're frustrated, show us that you're frustrated. Go out there, go out there and show us that you're frustrated. Go out there and spend that money, right? I don't expect him to spend money like the Dodgers are, obviously, but go out there and prove it, man. Right? And if you guys are serious, if you guys are wanting to, still contend, which the Yankees are always going to be contenders no matter what. They're always in the conversation in terms of postseason and World Series. The Yankees are always going to be in that conversation, but it needs to be shown on the field, right? It needs to be shown on the field. Yeah, no, I understand, TC. Trust me, man. I may not go on this cursing tirade. I may not be, going nuts and losing my mind. However, I have my frustrations. I do. When the Yankees were eliminated from the ALDS, I was disappointed. I did not like how they played in that postseason, in that division series against the Blue Jays. It was atrocious. I'm like, this can't happen. You know what I mean? This cannot happen. This is not a Yankee product right here. The Yankee product needs to be a lot better, man, for sure. TC says we can defer money too, so why aren't they doing it? Well, for one, the players have to agree to it. Again, the Dodgers, teams like the Dodgers are able to do it because, again, they're owned by Guggenheim, and Guggenheim, again, they're worth like $345 billion, and deferring money is not an issue for them. Any organization could do it, and players have to agree to it. That's the other thing. Joseph says, I hope the Yankees don't blow $500 million on Kyle Tucker. I mean, if it's going to be $500 million, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I wouldn't spend that kind of money on Kyle Tucker. Yankees certainly can. They can afford him, no doubt. But I think their goal is going to try and bring back Bellinger, which I have no problems doing that. I like what Bellinger brought to the table. Yeah, it's fun. It's funny, man. We year in, year out. Yeah, us fans, we get excited, we get disappointed, we get frustrated, we get mad, we get angry with how with the New York Yankees. But no matter what, I mean, even if they had a bad season, or if their season didn't end up well, if it didn't end up if they didn't get the positive result, fans are going to come back and watch this team. They're going to go out into the games and spend money on tickets, on food, on merchandise. I mean, they're still going to watch the games at the end of the day. They're still going to. But yeah, if you really want to make some noise, if you really want to show your frustration, you could always boycott. There's always that option. But we know Yankees fans aren't going to do that, right? A lot of them are not going to do that. The deferral thing must be stopped then it's ruining baseball. But yeah, I'll tell you what though, the next CBA, which expires December 1st of 2026, there is going to be a conversation about a salary cap. Because I know there's some owners out there that want a salary cap. The players are going to say no way. So maybe there is going to be a conversation about deferrals. Maybe there is going to be that conversation. But the deferral thing, they're not, the Dodgers are, hate to say it, but they're not breaking any rules in terms of that. They're not. Right? But maybe maybe that'll be in the conversation. So yeah, there is going to be a conversation about the salary cap. There is going to be a conversation. I don't think there will be a salary cap. I don't think there will ever be a salary cap in baseball. But would I be surprised if there's a lockout next season? No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. There could very well be a lockout for the 2027 season. So stay tuned for that. What's up? Frank is saying, I agree with you, not yelling and screaming. What good does it do? They aren't losing any sleep. That's what I'm saying, man. It's like, you know what? I have no reason to get mad or angry. I have no connection to the organization other than me being a fan, other than me being a content creator and just talking with all of you. So that's where I'm at. That's the way I see it. These guys are still getting paid, man. These guys are still getting paid. They're still getting paid their millions regardless of what happens. CT card, show me your angry face. There you go. Hopefully that got a laugh out of you. Yeah, maybe limit deferrals. I mean, who knows, man? I don't know. There's definitely gonna be some that I'm sure that conversation is gonna come up. It probably will, but we'll worry about that next year. Right now, what we fans want, what we need to worry about is how does this team is there any hope for 2026? Is there any hope for 2026? The hope is there, for me, but I do have my concerns. I certainly do have my concerns. There definitely needs to be improvements. All right, especially when it comes to contact bats, there absolutely needs to be improvements. With the approach to every game, you can't have the same approach to every single game. You got to change your approach. You got to make your adjustments before the game, and during the game. That's something that I feel like the Yankees need to do a better job of. What's up, Stephen B? So there, no doubt about that. Okay. Philosophy needs to change a little bit. It's just I feel like they're especially when it comes to how the Yankees approach the plate at times, swinging at the first pitch, getting these easy outs, quick innings. I mean, that needs to change, man. They need to work. They do need to work the opposing pitcher. They need to work the pitch count. Stop rushing at the plate. There's not a lot of patience at times with this team. So they're again. I could go down the list, man. There's so much that this team needs to do to, if they truly want to contend, if they truly want to be better. What up, Dev? Member for 17 months. What up, man? Appreciate you, Dev. What's going on? Make analytics illegal? Nah, analytics is here to stay, man. Unfortunately. It's a good tool to have, but you shouldn't use it. You shouldn't rely on it 100%. But some teams use it really well. Other teams, not so much. But anyway, if this team is frustrated, if Brian Cashman is frustrated, if Hal Steinbrenner says he's frustrated, and they say that they're gonna, make improvements to the team, if they're hoping for a better performance from their guys, from the guys that they already have right now, we got to see it. We got to see it. They got to show it, man. So, yeah, Brendan Donovan. Yeah, he's a name that's been mentioned a lot by some Yankees fans. I like Brendan Donovan, but my only concern with him, he'd be a great bat to have in a lineup, but he does get hurt a lot, and that's the thing that concerns me. And we all know how us fans react to players getting injured. Now, injuries are inevitable. It's not like it just happens to Yankees players. Every team experiences it, but we know how us Yankees fans react to these injuries. So, look, at the end of the day, Boone and Cashman, it's not like I was expecting much. I wasn't expecting much for them to say during their meeting. I wasn't expecting them to come out and say what their game plan is going to be for 2026. Cashman saying that the Yankees. Cashman saying that he, that 2025 was successful, regular season wise. Sure, even with all you can say it was successful, but even with that bad stretch of baseball that they had in the summer, but there was also still things that shouldn't have happened. They got to be better, right? But that starts with the front office, man. So, if this team is trying to compete, if they're frustrated, they got to show us that they're frustrated. They got to come back. They got to make this off season worthwhile. Yeah, I know Donovan. Yeah, I know he had surgery. So, but did the Yankees look into him again? That's funny, CT. Yeah, so for me, like I said, man, I didn't really get anything out of Boone and Cashman's, press conference. When they were talking to the media, I didn't really get much out of it. I mean, we could read them between the lines all we want, but again, going into next season, whoever the coaches are going to be, whatever this team is going to look like, at the end of the day, I want to see improvements. I do want to see improvements, man. You can't have the same approach for 2026 like you did in 2025. There are things that need to change fundamentally, philosophically. There are things that need to change, man. And I'm hoping Hal Steinbrenner comes out and talks to the media. I don't know if he will. I hope he does, and I would love to hear what he has to say. And another guy is Mike Fishman, their head of analytics. I want him to come out and speak, because there's things that I question with the analytics. I do, but so much needs to happen, though, man. If this team wants to get back into a championship caliber team, it's not just with player personnel. Right? It's not just with coaching personnel. There also needs to be a change in their philosophy. There needs to be a change in their approach to a lot of these games, and how they make their adjustments during these games. Because I'll tell you what I saw in 2025, a lot of teams, they made their adjustments against the Yankees. They did their homework, and they had success against them. I hate to say it, but it's true. They had success against them. Now, in that, teams are going to win and lose, right? You're not, no team. The Yankees are. It's not like the Yankees were going to go 162-0. Yeah, there's going to be time. There's going to be games that they're going to lose, 100%. That's inevitable. That's going to happen. But there's games that there was a lot of games that I feel like they should have won, but it was just not. I just think that it was just making simple mistakes and not making the right adjustments that cost them a lot of these games. So, again, philosophically, some things need to change. Their approach to the game needs to change. Their adjustments and how they make those adjustments needs to change. And they can't have the same approach every single game. Whether it's with their bats, whether it's with their pitching, their bullpen. Some of the decisions, they need to improve. There needs to be changes, man. Because if it's going to be the same approach, same philosophies year in, year out, honestly, I'm not going to expect the World Series. And I'll be brutally honest. Going into the 2025 season, I wasn't really thinking World Series. I said that this team will make it to the postseason. I felt confident in that. But in terms of World Series, nah. 2026, I'll just wait. I'll wait till the Yankees make their moves. I want to see what moves they're going to make. Then I'll make my criticisms then. And then once the 2026 season begins, we'll see how their approach is going to be, what their philosophy is going to be. Is any of this stuff going to change? You made the changes with the coaches. Yeah, great. Okay, fine. But how will this improve the team? That's what I want to know. That's going to be what I'm going to be looking for. What's up, Ronald? Frank is saying, I'm surprised Cashman didn't blame 2007. Yeah, well, that's what, man. I'm not gonna even. I was 17. It's gone. It's over. I'm looking at right now. But yeah, like I said, there's got to be changes, man. Stephen B says, all I got from the conference is all in front of us. Yeah, look, man. Hopefully the insanity doesn't continue. Hopefully, they don't have the same approach for 2026 like they did this year. Again, the philosophy, certain philosophies of the organization, it needs to change, man. How they use analytics, in my opinion, I think it needs to change. How they approach the game, the adjustments, that all needs to change. I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but this is what I'm seeing. This is what I saw from 2025, and that all that stuff needs to change for 26. And 19 errors at shortstop cost us. Well, definitely played a role, but there's other things that factored in too. Right? Not playing the small ball, not executing with runners in scoring position. Even though offensively, again, they did really well in a lot of the offensive categories, but there was the small things that they couldn't execute. And that stuff adds up, man. That stuff adds up at the end of the day. Yeah, bullpen definitely needs improvement. I think that needs to be their big approach, honestly. That they really need to address that bullpen. And as I'm looking at the votes here, 37 votes, and 49% of you said that the biggest concern for the Yankees is their offense. I get it. 22% tied for starting pitching and bullpen. Defense was the least. That was 8%, which I thought was interesting. For me, I think the bullpen is. For me personally, the bullpen is the number one priority. They do need it. That bullpen does need fixing. Starters needing to go deeper. Yeah, a lot of times it's like getting that final strike three call. It's been that was a struggle for the Yankees this season. It was, and a lot of these guys threw more pitches than they needed to, and it's hard for these guys to get out of innings, man. So, yeah, there is so much that needs to improve still, right? The Yankees, there's things that they did really well, and there's things that they didn't do well. And the things that they didn't do well, they gotta execute on that. But at the end of the day, look, it's up to the Yankees to make the improvements. It's up to them to play better baseball. It's up to them to improve their chances of going to the World Series and winning the World Series. Because now it's been 16 years. You could talk, but something needs to change. We gotta see it on the field. Show it in your actions. Show it in your actions. So that's what I want. That's what I want to see. But as of right now, we're in the off season right now. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but 26, could I see them going back into the postseason? Sure. World Series, yeah, I'm not there yet. No. Yeah, the defense got better. Yeah, the defense did get better, but still there's been some troubles there. But yeah, it has gotten better. Still needs to be improvement. I mean, the outfield was great for the Yankees. The infield, it had its ups and downs. Right, McMahon was a nice addition to third base. Goldschmidt did his thing at first. We knew Goldschmidt was going to be great defensively. McMahon is great defensively. Shortstop, second base. I mean, Jazz did his thing at second base, but there was still some boneheaded plays. Yeah, bad calls from the umps. I mean, certainly. I mean, umpires have just been bad for a while. But the ABS system is going to be implemented for 2026. So, hopefully that improves the game more with the strikes and balls being called. And of course, teams get to challenge, but I believe they only get to challenge twice. So, teams that challenge it, they have to be wise about which calls they challenge. So there's definitely a lot of questions with this team, a lot of concerns. But what will they do? Right? What will Brian Cashman do? What will Hal Steinbrenner do? What are these guys going to do to help improve the team? Hopefully, will Aaron Boone be better? For me, it's about, will Aaron Boone be better about making his adjustments and making sure he approaches every game, every team differently, not having the same approach, because sometimes it felt like the approach was the same, and it didn't always result into anything good. So there's a lot of there's a lot of things to look forward to, but there's also things that I am concerned about. So much more. There's so much more I could say. But I'll go ahead and save that for a different time. And unfortunately, I wish I wasn't having this live stream. I wish I was doing the pregame play-by-play right now. I wish the Yankees were still in the postseason, but it's not the case. Instead, this is a live stream. This is what we got. But I'm probably going to end it right here in a couple minutes. But I do plan on calling. I'm going to try and call some of the World Series games. We know the Dodgers made it, which, that should come as to no surprise. They ended up sweeping the Brewers. They absolutely dominated the Brewers. The Brewers just had no answer. Although the Brewers, they are a good team. There's promise with that team. They got potential. I like what I saw from those guys. We'll see what their future looks like. Going to do more live streams in the off season? It depends, Jonathan. During the off season, for me personally, it's hard to go live a lot, especially if there's nothing happening. I'd rather, if there's news or anything like that, I'll go live and talk and talk to you all. Definitely going to go live during the during the winter meetings. No doubt about that. Definitely want to go. I'm definitely going to be live to talk about winter meetings, and that's when it becomes really lively, because there's always a dead period after the World Series, and after the winter meetings, there's always it's completely. I don't want to say completely, but there's also a dead period there too, up until spring training comes around, right? Then the buzz of baseball starts to happen, and talks are starting to happen. Everybody's getting excited. It's just how it is every year. Collabs for the winter meetings, yeah. I might reach out to a few folks and a few of the content creators, see if they want to go live together. Right, I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's what we got though, folks. That's what we got, man. There's been this week quite a bit of Yankee news in terms of coaching changes. The Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone press conference, which, like I said, I wasn't really expecting a lot. It was just in terms of their what they thought about the 2025 season. But there was definitely things that I liked about 2025. They had a good regular season, right? But the postseason definitely was bad. And really, the big thing that I did not agree with was just the Volpe performance. Really, that was the big thing that that I disagreed with. The guy played hurt, even though they were saying that he wasn't hurt. I just didn't like that, how they approached that. And we'll see. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see, but I hope there's good news that comes this offseason. Hopefully the Yankees make their improvements and make something happen because they have to. They don't have a choice here. But anyway, folks, I'm gonna let you all go. All right, I'm gonna let you all go. I've been on for a little over an hour and a half. Time flies when you're having fun. But let's see what they do, right? Actions speak louder than the words, right? So let's see what the Yankees do this offseason. Let's see if they make what kind of improvements they make in the for the 2026 season, because their improvements absolutely need to happen. They did some things well in 2025, some things they didn't. And with the stuff they didn't do well, let's see how they address that. So once again, we'll see, folks. We're gonna at this point, all we could do is wait and see. But anyway, I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you all for hanging out on this Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon. Go enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Go enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope everybody's been well. I know it sucks that the Yankees are not in the postseason, but I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you all are taking care of yourselves, taking care of each other, and just enjoying the fall season, right? Hopefully you're all having a great fall season. But I'm going to let you all go. I'm out of here. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe. Share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. And you know I'm going to say it. Let's go Yankees. And just keep on the lookout. I'll be for notifications if I go live again. I'm sure I'll be live again at some point. Just keep on the lookout. But thank you all for tuning in. Have a great night, everyone. And I'll see you all next time. Let's go Yankees.